Hello and welcome to Good Idea, Bad Idea. My name is Gibby. One of the most common requests I get on my way too long, but still somehow not long enough, Five Nights at Freddy's video is to take all the theories that are embedded deep within its 9-hour runtime and make individual videos going more into depth on them. Make it so you don't need to skip 6 hours into the video to learn what Chica's favorite kind of pizza is. That's a joke, I don't actually talk about that in the video. And obviously everybody knows what her favorite kind of pizza is. It's chicken. The signs have been there from the beginning. Chica is a cannibal. Anyway, as much as I recognize the need to maybe make a series on this, I've decided I don't really want to do it unless I have something to add to my original theory. A couple days ago, I released a Midnight Motorist video in which I went over new evidence that had been discovered by one of my commenters. The thumbnail for it is awful. And so what I really wanted to talk about in this video is just what basically the thumbnail says. It's not something I directly state in the video, but I have a different interpretation of Golden Duo than most of the community does. Golden Duo is the theory that there are in fact two souls within Golden Freddy. That would be Cassidy / Vengeful Spirit / Andrew, and then the Crying Child. The evidence for this really comes from the Fazbear Frights novels. There's an ongoing epilogue called the Stitch Wraith, and in that, two different souls inhabit the same animatronic, one of them being a little meeker and one of them being a little angrier, with these attributes then grafted onto what we know about Cece and the Vengeful Spirit. So the theory is that both of those entities within the game lore are attached to the Golden Freddy suit, and I disagree. Since we're using book lore at the moment, I think that we should really dive a little deeper into the Silver Eyes trilogy. The big twist reveal in that series is that Charlie is a robot. But with like everything else in this franchise, that is somehow an oversimplification, because Charlie's not actually a robot, Charlie is a possessed doll. This is symbolic about how she has absolutely no agency in the story and is just other people's plaything. A completely passive protagonist who loses all need to actually be within the narrative in the sequel novels. Or maybe it's just there to point out her childlike innocence, I don't know. So anyway, Charlie is possessing a doll, and her father Henry builds some robots, with the idea being that if you take the doll and physically place it within the robot, then the robot will come to life. So somehow the doll is possessing Charlie's soul, but then this allows her to do things like see through the eyes of the robot, feel touches with the robot. But the doll is her. When the doll moves to a different body, her soul then possesses that body. And I think there's a direct correlation to this within the game's canon, and that would be the Fredbear plush from FNAF 4 and Sister Location. It's the last thing that is by Cece as he actually dies, assuming that the manner of Charlie possessing the puppet we see in Pizzeria Simulator has something to do with how souls actually latch on to animatronics. If it has to be within their proximity, then it makes a lot of sense to me that Cece's soul would possess the plush. I have an extremely complicated theory about how the plush in the FNAF 4 minigames is actually Cece possessing it, and that the Cece we play as in the FNAF 4 minigames is not actually Cece, it is in fact Cassidy, and that all she's doing is playing a video game, but I'm not going to touch on that now. One of the typical signs of possession within the Five Nights at Freddy's universe is, of course, having little white dots glowing in your eyes, as we can distinctly see in Sister Location on William's desk. This is probably one of the most talked about lore drops from merch existing, but the fact is that that plush, when it was sold as actual real-life merch, was labeled as a possessed item. So Cece is possessing the Fredbear plush. Golden Freddy, meanwhile, seems to be possessed by the Vengeful Spirit or by the 5th MCI kid, and there's a heavy implication that the puppet had nothing to do with this 5th child coming to inhabit Golden Freddy. The main theory for this in the fandom being that because the child was killed within a Springlock suit, that for some reason the agony of this happening actually allowed them to latch onto the suit easier than the other kids who were killed nearby their animatronics and then had their bodies stuffed. So they all needed the puppet's help, but Golden Freddy didn't. Golden Freddy is more powerful and angry. In Ultimate Custom Night, which is generally believed to be William's punishment in the afterlife, Cece is represented by the actual Fredbear animatronic. He repeats lines to William that he himself heard in FNAF 4, like being put back together, knowing who his friends are, etc. In the game, there is no representation of the 5th MCI child, the Vengeful Spirit, Cassidy, etc., except for at the end of the game when you see Golden Freddy twitching away into the distance. So you have two different human child characters who are associated with the Fredbear / Golden Freddy animatronic character. And so the idea was taken from the Stitch Wraith storyline in the books that both of their souls are inhabiting the one Golden Freddy suit. This would make sense as to why that character would state things like, "It's me," when talking to Mike, because Mike is of course Cece's older brother. Now the thumbnail and title of this video are no lie. I do not believe both souls are inhabiting the Golden Freddy suit. And that's because I think Cece is in the Fredbear plush, and I think the Fredbear plush is in the Golden Freddy suit. Golden Freddy is a suit, technically it's a spring-lock suit, so arguably there are animatronics within it, and Cassidy is possessing that suit. Cece is then possessing the suit in the same manner that Charlie possesses her robots in the Silver Eyes novel. He is a doll that is then placed within a robot and has control over that robot. So while I think that as far as the games are concerned, both of them do have some sort of control over the suit/animatronic, I don't think that Cece is actually possessing the suit. If anything, this lends more credence to the idea that there are two versions of Fredbear, the purple one and the black one, with Cece representing the purple version, because that's what the plush she's actually in is, whereas Cassidy is in the black version. One of my theories is that this change in accessories actually happened after Cece's death. They wanted to sort of unassociate that version of the character with the fact that it chomped on a child. And so the pre-Bite of 83 version of Fredbear is represented by Cece, and the post-Bite of 83 Fredbear is represented by Cassidy. The purple and the black versions, the suit and the doll, etc. Now, does this actually have any bearing on the game's story? Kind of. Assuming that the Golden Freddy suit is some sort of physical entity, which there seems to be evidence for because it's changed between FNAF 2 and 1. Like, the suit gets fixed up. It has a withered version and then a repaired version, so it really does imply that there is a physical suit somewhere. And the existence of a physical suit might give the opportunity for the Cece plush to be removed from it, like physically at some point. You don't necessarily need to have Happiest Day to have Cece's consciousness removed from the Golden Freddy suit. It can be removed by other means, which to me makes it a possibility, maybe not something that's plausible, but a possibility that in different entries in the franchise, Cece either does or does not have control over the Golden Freddy suit. The Golden Freddy suit doesn't say, "It's me" in FNAF 2, and it almost actively is hostile towards the nighttime security guards in that game. FNAF 1, it just crashes the game when you look at him too much. FNAF 2, his face flies down the hallway, theoretically implying that he is actually killing the guard. Now, without my theory, you'd have to say that Cece is present within the withered version of Golden Freddy, because obviously that game takes place in 1987, and he would have possessed the suit sometime around 1983. Theoretically, when his head was actually bitten by the suit. But with my theory, that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. The Golden Freddy suit and character can be antagonistic without Cece being implicated in that violence. This sort of spins off into a whole other theory. I think that Yendo, the secret character from Sister Location, who has a very similar naming convention to Yellow Bear, which is what Golden Freddy was called in FNAF 1, I think that Yendo has some sort of relationship with the Golden Freddy character. Obviously, it's not one-to-one or direct, and there's a lot of holes in it, given that Yendo's endoskeleton looks a lot more like the advanced Funtime animatronics, rather than the extremely old endos that would have been in a spring-lock suit back in 1983. But I do think there is some sort of connection between Yendo and then Yellow Bear. And since Yendo has absolutely no story significance in Sister Location, I think that his presence in the game might be to physically grab the Cece-possessed Fredbear plush from William's office. I think that when Cassidy possessed Golden Freddy, and before Cece's plush was physically placed within the suit, is when the conversation within the security logbook happened. Cece doesn't really have all of his memories together. He's, like, can't see, and the party was for him. So my theory would be that sort of like that partial scatter victim, whatever the theory's called, that partial version of Cece was kind of left behind after the big chomping incident, but that the rest of his soul, the rest of his memories are within the plush. And so they have their little conversation in the logbook. Cassidy walks on over in the form of the Yendo endoskeleton physically down to the Sister Location bunker, grabs the plush, goes and puts it in the suit, and now they can share the body. Why is the Golden Freddy suit limp and clearly in performer mode, not animatronic mode, if Cassidy has control over the endo? I have no idea. Like I said, lots of holes. But I do think that the existence of this sort of Easter egg character is trying to hint that there is some connection between the Golden Freddy character and then the Sister Location bunker, and the Sister Location bunker, of course, houses the Fredbear plush. So even if I'm not entirely sure about how point C leads back to point A, I still think that there's something there and there's a connection worth investigating. And that's the crux of my theory. Thank you for watching. Now, while we're on the subject of dolls, I really wanted to point your attention towards this. I am highly invested in getting this ID's Fantasy doll made. You gotta get to 200 sales before they're actually gonna make it, meaning no one gets it if we don't get a couple more sales. She did not ask me to do this. In fact, I sent her a Twitter DM this morning that she has not answered, meaning as far as I know, she doesn't even know that I'm doing this. I just felt the need to give back to the community in some way. I missed out on MatPat's red faux leather jacket when it was first up for sale. Cyresquawks hasn't figured out that he can make a boatload of money if he takes his avatar and makes some sort of functional sock puppet merch item. And for some completely inexplicable reason, Not Real Name Not At All and Impulse 737 don't have as many subscribers as they deserve, so they don't really have any merch out. And so I'm heavily invested in making this a physical, real thing that people can have. There's only about 24 hours left to get it totally funded, and so if, like, just a couple dozen of you can go and buy the plush, it will get made, otherwise no one gets one. I see you guys leaving super chats in the comments of my video. Go take that money and give it to one of the best FNAF tubers. And while you're at it, go subscribe to Not Real Name Not At All and Impulse 737, because just the amount of effort that they put in their videos and how high quality they are really deserve more attention. Evan's just like series about actually going through all the books is incredible, and Not Real Name Not At All's video about the kissability of animatronics is probably the best FNAF video on all of YouTube. So go support other creators, and remember to be Freddy. Still working on the acronym. No, but seriously, thank you for watching, and I'm very glad for the continued support of me covering this topic on my channel. I will see you soon in the next video.